everybody, and thank you for joining me today. So, first session of this month, and I expect to get this pass completed and then some. Yeah, there's not a lot left. Yeah, like less than 4,000 stitches left to go before this pass is completed, so yeah, that should not be a problem. I've been managing, like I say, around 8,000 to 10,000 a month, so yeah, 4,000 should be a breeze. Yeah, so we are in third winter. Yeah, we got like another 8 inches of snow dropped on us the last couple days. My husband actually had to pull the snowblower out to deal with it, so yeah. Fortunately, it is melting now, and it's supposed to be well above freezing later this week, so yeah, it'll probably be gone by then, but yeah, for the moment there's still ice and snow on the ground, and it's warm enough that it melts a lot during the day and then it freezes and all the ruts are still there, so like, yeah, it makes for some rough driving and walking. Oh, yeah, like I said, I was hoping we were done after second winter, but I figured no, we usually get at least 4. Yeah, another 3 or more snowfalls before it's actually done for good. Yeah, it makes it kind of tough for people who do a summer garden because, yeah, like you want to plant it early enough that it has time to grow so that you get a good harvest, but you don't want to plant it too early or we will get a late snowfall or frost and, yeah, it could kill things. So, yeah, it's a real balancing act. So yeah, I didn't think I was going to make 2/3 completed last month, but I surpassed that, so that was nice. Yeah, I always love when I surprise myself by doing more than I expected. So yeah, I said last time, kiddo had a good birthday party. He was surprised. Yeah, we walked into the room we had, the space we had reserved at the restaurant. People started clapping and cheering. He literally stopped dead in his tracks. Yeah, he thought it was just us taking him out for dinner. And yeah, I had sent an Evite to his friends, and we had some family friends there. And so yeah, he was very happy. So yeah, I said he's a legal adult now, and I cannot believe it. It really does go by so fast. I say in the beginning when they're newborn and, you know, you're running on fumes because they're not sleeping that much, right? And still waking up to eat, you know, a couple times a night. Yeah, it feels like people say it goes so fast, you're thinking, yeah, no, it doesn't. But then, yeah, once they get out of that stage, it just, yeah, it really kind of flies by. Okay. So yeah, there's a little bit more of tail feathers here. It goes for like another 2.5 columns, and then it will become some flowers there at the edge. Yeah, I apologize if I don't talk as much today. I've got a bit of a sore throat this morning. Yeah, I think my husband brought home some little cold bug or something because we've been feeling just the slightest bit off. Yeah, the other day I had to ask my son to drive because I was feeling just the tiniest bit dizzy, and I said, you know, just not going to take the chance that it might, a wave of dizziness might hit me while I'm driving, right? Yeah. I was fine, but yeah, better safe than sorry, so This piece is short too, so just did these, and I'm going to tie it off. Yeah, so I've got all the squares for the blanket I was making. They're all made. Now I'm starting to sew them together, which is my least favorite part. Yeah. And dealing with all the ends because it's a log cabin quilt style, so they have several different colors, so it's, yeah, it leaves a lot of yarn ends that need to be dealt with, which is my, like I say, my least favorite part. But and then I still have to knit the border, and then it will be done. Yeah, it's a present for my father-in-law because he gave me Mom's yarn stash when she passed away. So yeah, I'm making him a blanket out of some of it, but there was a lot. Yeah, there's enough there for probably half a dozen blankets. So I even gave some away because some of it was that really fine crochet thread that they used to make doilies, and I don't do that. So yeah. Yeah, it's super, super thin stuff for making like lace work. And I do knit lace, but not with that thread. Because like I said, that's more for doilies and things, so. Yeah, so I donated some of that. Because I figured rather than it's just sitting there for me to, you know, never use, rather it go to somebody who will actually use it. Yeah, it was kind of funny because there was a little Mary Maxim blanket kit in there that I'm pretty sure I gave to my sister-in-law for Christmas one year, and I guess she didn't like it, and so she must have given it to our mom, and then our mom never used, you know, mother-in-law never used it, so she so I ended up getting it back again. So yeah, I donated that too because again, it's a crochet baby blanket and I don't crochet. I had tried to learn, but I was not very successful. I know there's people who do manage to do both, but yeah, I started knitting when I was like 11, and yeah, trying to learn a different way was, I mean, if I really, really wanted to, I guess I could persevere, but I have so many knitting things that I want to make that, yeah, I decided, you know what, good enough. Yeah, that's another hobby that I have more patterns collected than I could ever knit in my lifetime. Yeah, I got a whole closet full of yarn. I am slowly working through it. Yeah, so I got a closet full and now a whole big hope chest full that was from Mom, so yeah. Yeah, my grandma actually taught me the basics of knitting. We were staying with her for a few days one summer, and she was knitting, and my sister and I said, Grandma, can you teach us? And so she did. My sister did it for a little while, but she kind of dropped the habit, but it stuck with me, yeah. So she taught me the very basics of casting on, the knit stitch and casting off. And so I knit lots of square things for a while as a kid. I made myself a headband, lots of pot holders, blankets, scarves, and then I didn't really knit that much for a while, and then when I hit my early 20s, I decided to pick it up again. And I went to Michael's and they had this Learn to Knit kit, which was like a book, instruction book, and then it included, you know, needles, stitch holders, stitch markers, cable needles, that kind of thing. And yeah, so I kind of taught myself the rest from there. And then Ravelry came out, which is a website that's like a social networking for knitters and crocheters. Yeah, which if you do either of those hobbies, I recommend. And yeah, and from there, I mean, there was a wealth of very experienced knitters there, so I learned a lot of advanced techniques from them, and it's great. They have forums, so you get stuck on something, you have a question, you post it there, and I swear within 5 minutes you got about 5 or 6 people who will be more than happy to help you out. It's a wonderful resource. Made some friends on there. Yeah, I'm not on there as much anymore because I'm more cross-stitching now, but yeah. Yeah, and I said, even if you don't use the social aspect part of it, if you do either of those hobbies, it is worth joining for the absolute wealth of free patterns they have on there. Yeah. You'll have more than you could ever make. I have paid for some that I really liked, but yeah, there is just so many great free ones, and right from beginner all the way to advanced. It's really nice too because you can search for a specific pattern, and if people found there were mistakes in it, there will be, information in there. People will have altered it, saying, I preferred this way and this is how I did it, and there's pictures, and that people put pictures of their finished projects and projects in progress and stuff. Yeah, I spent many hours on there before I kind of got sucked into full coverage cross stitching. And then, yeah. So, yeah, I mentioned my grandma. Some sad news. She recently passed away. I got the news. It was peacefully in her sleep. Yeah. And, yeah, she was almost 92. So, she had a really good long life. Oops, that's the wrong spot. It should be right here. Yes, let me just double check. Yeah. So yeah, she would have been 92 in May. So yes, she had a really good long life, and I've known that this was coming for a while because due to her age. But yeah, I mean, regardless, I am obviously going to miss her. She was my dad's mom. So, yeah. I was her oldest grandkid, and my son was her first great-grandkid. So, yeah, so she had 5 kids, 9 grandkids, and 4 great-grandkids. So, yes. Big family. Yeah, unfortunately, we live far away. She was in Vancouver Island, Nanaimo, so we didn't get to see her in person anywhere as often as I would have liked, but yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm getting at the age where I'm starting to lose people, right? Yeah. Yeah, although, like I said, my mother-in-law was end of 2023, but hers was quite unexpected. She was not that old. Yeah. She had my husband quite young. She was 18, I think. So, yeah. We definitely thought we were going to have her with us for a lot longer than we did, so, yeah. Yeah, it's been a while, and I still sometimes forget that she's no longer with us, I'll see something and think, oh, I should text this to Mom. She'd love this, and then, oh, wait, I can't, right? I think that's the hardest part, right? Yeah. When you see something that they would have loved. and you can no longer share it with them. That's, yeah, that's the hardest. Take a look here. All right, so I think I'm going to come back to the top here and start working my way down again. So kind of stitching almost diagonal here, just opposite the way I usually went. But like I said, the tail feathers are all going that way, and it just, I found it easier to follow them rather than fight them. So yeah, I'm working now in my 11 by 11 Q-snap. I switch to the smaller one when I'm getting close to the end there. Yeah, with my grandma, we actually had a scare a couple of years ago. She had had a fall, spent a few days in hospital, and she was kind of having trouble remembering all of us, but it did come back to her, so yeah. We were fortunate we got to have her around for a little longer. Yeah, it was funny. I remember my grandpa telling us how when they were asking each other if they wanted to get ice cream, but they didn't want the kids to know, they would say, "Shall we have some direct questions?" And it turned out they were saying that because it stood for DQ, Dairy Queen. Yeah, so. Oh. Yeah, they did funny things like that. They said they had a dog, and of course it could recognize the word walk, right? And you couldn't say it because as soon as you said walk, the dog would start going nuts. And if you didn't go for a walk, then it would get, obviously, quite upset with you. So they had to come up with different ways. So somebody would say, "Shall we ambulate the quadruped?" So it wouldn't know what they were talking about. Yeah. No, I think, yeah, split the fabric. Didn't go exactly back down where it should have. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, I just moved my whole frame over. So that's why I'm sort of right up against this left edge here. get it as close so I don't have to reach as far with my left arm on top there. Yeah, so like, well, we do have snow and ice out there. It's not too terribly cold. Yeah, it's sort of right around the 0 mark, which in Celsius 0 is freezing. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny because I saw a debate people were having. Somebody's like, Fahrenheit makes more sense. And I'm like, does it though? Not to me. I mean, yeah, 0 is where water freezes, 100 is where water boils. I think it just makes more sense to you if it's what you're used to, right? Yeah. I mean, my husband said he likes the Kelvin because 0 is absolute 0. But I'm like, yeah, I would not be able to wrap my brain around that because absolute 0 is like minus 237 Celsius or something like that. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, but then where is like actual freezing of water point, right? I have no idea where that even would be. I mean, I suppose I could work it out, but as I've said more than once on here, I do not have the math brain, so. Yeah, my son is learning basic computer programming this year. They're learning Python, and my husband's been having to help him, and he says, man, this stuff is tough even for me, and he's done, a fair amount of coding. So, yeah. That kiddo is getting it. Yeah. Yeah, I tried that for grade 12. And yeah, after about 6 weeks, I dropped the class because I didn't need it for graduation. And it was stressing me the heck out. So yeah, I decided to try it because, get a job in computers, they're kind of here to stay, right? So figured there was a lot of growth in that sector, but yeah, it is not for me. Brain is, yeah, even though it's kind of funny because like I said, really almost everything in the world can be expressed through math, right? Music is math, and yeah, I said, but I was good at the music but not so much at the math. It was actually interesting in Star Trek Discovery. That was how they managed to communicate with an alien species. The alien species sent like things with colored lights and all this stuff, and they were trying to find different ways to communicate with each other. And then somebody sent something that was equal to 5, and then the aliens answered with several different equations that all equal to 5, and it was like, okay, now we have a way to communicate, 2 plus 3 and 8 minus 3 and all this stuff. And then yeah, they said if you have that, then you can start to make if and then statements, which are logical, which can help you to start to communicate. So I thought that was really cool. When I say everything is math, yeah, even communicating with an alien species was math. So that was pretty neat. Yeah, a lot of Star Trek fans did not like Discovery. It was another prequel series. And it's not my favorite, but I enjoyed it. Yeah. My gosh, this one. So yeah, that's rare this happens, but this, I think, is pretty hopelessly tangled. Yeah. But that has only happened maybe 4 or 5 times with this stitching method. So yeah, people say, they get tangled with all the threads hanging? No, generally no. This is official DMC thread, so I mean, I can't attest if you are using a different kind. I haven't tried it. Because yeah, there is a brand called CXC, which uses the same numbering system, but is much, much cheaper. And some people really like that, but I have not tried it. It is, however, a cotton polyester blend, whereas DMC is totally cotton, so yeah. But I think Threadbare, the website, did a review of it and said that they found it pretty comparable. It was color fast and all that. And some people have said that it's slightly thicker, which some people like better for the coverage. Yeah. Me, I don't mind if a little bit of fabric shows through personally. I find when you're using a lot of strands, it can be harder to get them to lie neatly, which it bothers me if they don't, so. And I always say, you're going to be looking at the whole thing, you know, fairly far back. You don't look with it right with your nose right up to it like you do maybe when you're stitching on it. So, yeah. Okay. Just making sure everything matches here. Yeah, like they say, it's all a matter of personal preference. So yeah, you get that all the time, people asking, how many strands should I use on this? It's like, well, really, it depends on, there's no way to tell until you stitch it yourself what you'll prefer. Some people like using 2 strands on 25 for full cross. For me, I would not enjoy stitching with it. It'd be too thick for my taste. I feel like I'm wrestling with it. So yeah, I would say there's no right or wrong. You just have to try it yourself and see what you like. Just like, yeah, ways of stitching. You don't have to park if it doesn't work for you. Yeah, I stitched, I'm trying to think now, 3 full coverage pieces without parking before I changed. And I never would have tried it until I had Pattern Keeper, that's for sure. Yeah, you can do it with paper, but it is, I think, tougher because you'd have to mark it on the paper where you park things, and that takes a little longer than marking it on Pattern Keeper, which is pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to take a look at how long this piece is. Okay, so I'm not going to start a new piece yet. For the other color there that I just checked. Yeah, so this area is fairly detailed in colors, so it's a little slower. Goodness. Yeah, so I find these patterns tend to stitch up a little darker than the original art. In fact, that kind of seems to be the nature with cross stitch to me. I found that with other designers too. I don't mind. I like the more bold, vibrant colors, but yeah, some people don't like that. Yeah, I say, like, you can look at mock-ups, but in the end, there is really no substitute for seeing it actually stitched. Actually, there was one person in a group who said that they had figured out they would take a screenshot of the mock-up and then adjust the contrast settings on their screen would give them a more accurate sort of guesstimate of how it would look. Yeah. Which I thought was a really good idea. So I saved those instructions so I can do that myself. Yeah, it was funny. So for my son's birthday, my husband went and got they take a big file folder and sort of cut it down so it's just like the cardboard kind of, and make a card out of that so it's big enough for people to sign on it. And my son loves to rickroll everybody. So one of our family friends, he wrote on it, you know, never going to call you out, never going to call you old, never going to rickroll you on your birthday card. Oh, wait a minute. And then happy birthday. Yeah, it was pretty funny. Oh, how come I have only one strand coming up here? Well, that's freaking weird. Yeah, what happened to the other one? That is so odd. It must have got pulled back somehow. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Okay. I have never had that happen to me before. That is funny. Yeah, the other strand must have got pulled back and stitched into the back here or something. That is so odd. Yeah, I don't feel anything loose back here, so how strange is that? Oh, that's okay. I will tie that strand off and restart later. Yeah, I have, like I said, never done that before. I don't know how I managed to do that this time. Yeah, it's weird. There isn't a big snarl on the back where the other strand went, so I don't know what's going on there. That is so weird. Okay, well, no problem. So first, let's mark this done so I don't forget. Yeah, that's what this is. Yeah, I even ducked my head underneath and couldn't find out what I did, so I don't know. That is strange. Yeah, how odd. Okay, no problem. I will just tie that off and I'll restart later. So I'm just going to unpark that there. Yeah, like I said, that has never happened to me before. How weird. Okay. Okay, that's all right. I figured it out. actually, let me just continue on with that color for a bit. Oops. Oh, shoot. Drop my needle. Okay, there it is. Yeah, if I drop it in my lap, I don't want to leave it because, ouch. It could become very uncomfortable. Okay. Oh, this was out already. I don't know why. I keep doing that with this color, forgetting that I have it out already in my tray. Okay, so I'm actually going to work, yeah, from the bottom up of this purple here. I think I can park it at the top and avoid having to add another strand. So this pattern is 550 stitches wide. This is row 490 there. So yeah, like I said, getting close to the end of this pass, and that'll be pass 6, I believe. So I will have 3 more left. So I'm hopeful that I can get those done in another year. So not a calendar year, but so by end of April of 2026 is what I'm hoping. And if we end up earlier than that, then cool. Yeah, like I said, I don't work on just one piece exclusively anymore. I have been doing some work on my firefly piece, so. So yeah, I'm closing in on having only 100,000 stitches left because, yeah, 206,900 will be exactly 100,000 stitches left, and I'm at 205 and a bit, so it's coming. It'll definitely happen this month and then probably this week. those as well. Park that up there. Okay, just making sure there wasn't a knot there, because it almost sounded like it wanted to form one. Oh dear. There we go. Okay. Yeah, because 8,000 a month is just under 100,000 per year. So I'm going to hit about 100,000 left pretty soon. So yeah. So a year might be close because that's about 4,000 shy, but I do sort of 8,000 and a bit. So We will see. Might have it done by next spring. Yeah, people ask for tips on doing these. Always say pick something that you're absolutely in love with it, because you are going to be stitching it for a long time. Choose a picture that you absolutely are dying to have, because it will take forever. Longer than having a baby. Although I guess it depends. Some people stitch really, really fast. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the speed I stitch with, but I am not the fastest. Yeah, there was some who said they'd stitched it within a year, and I'm like, that has to be tent stitch, right? The half cross stitch? Nope, it was full cross. I was like, holy cow. You're on fire. So I could start another thread and continue carrying on downwards, or I can go back to the top and start working my way down. So sort of work more further out rather than downwards. So that's what I think I'm going to do for now. Okay, so this is a long piece. Yeah, the length of the thread that I have attached is probably the biggest factor in where I decide to park it, because there's often, that's the word I'm looking for, there's often more than one way. So usually I park with what's closest, but yeah, it depends. If it was only long enough for a couple more stitches and they're sort of a couple more stitches further away but by themselves, then I would park it there. But this is still fairly long, so I'm just going to park it close by where there are a lot more stitches. And this, and then I'm pretty sure I have some leftover bits. Yeah, so I will grab a shorter piece and just do those two by themselves with it. Yeah, had someone say they just toss a piece of thread when they tie it off. It doesn't matter how much is left. I'm thinking, oh no, I always save those pieces, because you're always going to have at some point alone 1 or 2 stitches by themselves. So those little pieces are perfect for that. I only throw away pieces when they are no longer long enough to do anything else. Yeah, I say sort of anything that's 5 inches or longer is long enough that I can fold it in half and do at least one stitch out of it. So it's always good for those little confetti stitches scattered about by themselves. Oh, goodness. There. Oh, goodness, dropping my needle again, I tell you. There we go. Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to take a break soon because I have been putting off my chores to stitch, and yeah, I need to go deal with my stack of dirty dishes in the kitchen. Even though I'd much rather be stitching, right? But yeah. Stuff still needs to be done, and I got a hamper full of laundry that needs washing too, so yeah. All right, so 176 is a pretty good number, I say. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me today, and hope to see you here next time. Thanks, everyone. Bye.